What's cracking, everybody? Welcome to I Am Boo. Thanks for stepping through. So I got into the aquarium building, aquascaping, maybe a year and a half ago or so, and I really fell in love with it. Never thought I'd get into something like this in all my years, but it's addicting, and it got to the point where I couldn't stop making tanks. But I think I might set a new challenge for myself and see if I can tackle doing my first saltwater tank. Now, I don't know much about what it takes. One thing I do know is that from a little bit that I've read, that requires a lot more maintenance and a lot more attention to detail than the freshwater tanks, though they each offer their own different challenges, I'm sure. But let's get into this video. Beginner's Guide to Saltwater Aquariums. Check it out.
You want to set up your first saltwater tank? Well, there is no
by the YouTube channel Hello Reef. Go check them out.
better time than the present. So let's jump right in. By the end of this video, you'll see how to set up a 15-gallon desktop aquarium that's perfect for clownfish and anemones, corals and crabs, as well as macro, algae, and shrimp. And it all starts with the right gear. Here are the basics you're gonna need to get started. A tank, sand, rock, a filter, return pump, and wave maker, salt water, light, a heater, and a thermometer. To make our lives easier, we're gonna use the Hello Reef kit, which contains all of these items and a lot more, but you can absolutely find other good tanks out there and piece together your equipment by buying stuff from your local fish store or from an online retailer like Bulk Reef Supply. Here are a few things to keep in mind when deciding where to set up your tank. A sturdy foundation. Once filled with water, sand, and rock, a 15-gallon aquarium will weigh around 150 pounds. A sturdy desk, countertop, or cabinet will work well. Just avoid anything that's flimsy or poorly made. Sunlight. A little bit of direct sunlight in the morning and evening is going to be just fine for your tank, but avoid any place that gets direct sunlight the majority of the day. Temperature. We're building a tropical fish tank with a water temperature of 78 degrees. While the heater will be able to keep the water temperature warm in a room temperature location, avoid anywhere that's either unheated like a garage or a room that dips below 60 degrees at night. Noise. Saltwater aquariums are quiet, but they're not silent. The reality is some pumps just make a slight humming sound, and depending on the tank you go with, you may hear the sound of rippling water as it cascades into your filter. So if you're a light sleeper who needs complete silence, then maybe think twice before putting a tank in your room. Now that you've chosen the spot for your tank, clean the bottom of the tank and the top of the counter it's going to sit on. Be sure whatever stand you're using that it's level. If not, using something like composite shims to level the stand is super easy. Add a 10-pound bag of aquarium sand and use your hand to spread it around. Next, we're going to build a simple structure using reef rock. Try to build some caves and spaces for your fish and other animals to hide. If your structure is a bit tippy, use some extra thick super glue and or aquarium safe epoxy to hold the pieces together. Set up the return pump, tubing, and nozzle and place your wave maker on the side of the tank. Next, insert your filter sock and then grab your heater. Set it to 77 to 78 degrees and place it all the way down to make sure it's always completely covered with water. Place the thermometer on the outside of the tank, and now it's time to get started with the salt water. There are many different ways to either make or purchase salt water, but here's one simple way to do it. Pick up 15 gallons of filtered drinking water from the grocery store. Grab a clean 5-gallon bucket to mix the water and the aquarium salt together. A refractometer will tell you when you're done with a measurement of 35 parts per thousand. Make a couple batches and add it to your tank. Plug in all your gear and your tank is off to the races. While your water is now flowing and looking a little silty, let's get the light installed. Depending on your light, setup will look different, but this Hello Reef kit comes with this cool AI blade light. We're just gonna rest it on top, plug it in, and connect it to the app. You'll have a few different program options, but the Hello Reef template is the perfect fit for our tank. Now we're gonna make the tank water safe for our future pets by cycling it. Let's add a big pinch of fish food and a bottle of beneficial bacteria. Now we just have to wait for 8 days before adding our first animals. Before we choose our new pets, a quick note about the Hello Reef kit. Not only does it include all the gear you've seen so far, but it also includes access to Hello Reef Connect, an online learning portal with 50 videos. You heard that right. 50 educational videos, all hosted by me, Matthew. Over our 6-week program, our course walks you through every detail of our Hello Reef kit. There are a ton of really cool things you could put in your 15-gallon tank. For example, you could build a colorful garden full of zoanthid corals. Maybe do a Caribbean garden tank with macroalgae, sponges, and a pipefish. But for today's video, we're going with the classic anemone and clownfish duo. We've chosen 2 standard ocellaris clownfish. By floating the bags in the water for 30 minutes, we equalize the temperature between the two. Then pour the clownfish into a bowl and either use your hand or a coffee cup to transfer your fish to their new home. Next, we're gonna add a cleanup crew. These little gals and guys will help keep the tank clean. Let's add a few snails, some hermit crabs, a couple cleaner shrimp.
Gotta be careful with those snails. I've had snail outbreaks in my freshwater tanks from reproduction, and if you don't nip that in the bud, they will take over your tank.
And a sea urchin. Shrimp are actually one of my all-time favorite saltwater pets. And now for our final pets, I don't have an aging mechanism, so I can technically live forever bubble tip anemones. I just love anemones, and I actually got 10 tank-raised, genetically identical bubble tip anemones from Worldwide Coral in Orlando, Florida. They have a huge selection, take amazing care of their animals, and have a really cool store. 3 months later. What can your tank look like in 3 months? Well, let me show you mine. It's gorgeous.
Wow.
My clowns are happy, and my anemones have easily doubled in size. My sea urchin has taken to camouflaging herself with some empty shells while she scours the tank for algae. My skunk cleaner shrimp is always out and about, and my 2 peppermint shrimp make an appearance at feeding time. How have I kept all my animals thriving and healthy? Feeding and maintenance. But that's a topic for another video. Click here for more great videos from Hello Reef, and I'll catch you in the next one. Be well and happy reefing, everybody.
It's the maintenance that I'm going to have to definitely check out, because that's upkeep is probably going to be one of the major things. Sometimes it's easy just getting that thing started, but it's the upkeep, because eventually things will go wrong in your tank. How do you nip it in the bud quickly? Are you using the right methods to resolve the issue? Things like that, because something that can be handled promptly and simply, not done in the appropriate amount of time or taking the right corrective action, could turn into an absolute catastrophe and could ruin your entire tank. I'm sure it's like that with freshwater tanks. So yeah, I've had probably well over 10 freshwater tanks, not all at the same time, but through, tearing some down, coming up with new ideas, rebuilding it, trying different themes, honing my skills and creative aquascaping. I think the most tanks I ever had at one time in my house running, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think like 5 or 6. But it does become, a lot to maintain all of those, and you really got to stay the course and make sure all the cycles are right, the appropriate water changes, the temperature, food, all those kinds of things. So, but currently right now I have no freshwater tanks. They've all been taken down, and I got into making paludariums. So currently I have 2 paludariums that I built this month. Well, one of them I've had for a year and a half, but I decided to tear it down and migrate it to a new tank that was larger. And I still used kind of the core base idea, but I changed the landscape a bit in the bigger tank. And then the other one I made, I wanted to go with kind of like this backyard, spring or, foresty wood type of vibe. Something like you'd see in Pikmin or something. Captain Olimar running under logs with a nearby stream with long grass, things like that. So those are the 2 paludariums I got now. I want to make one more tank. I don't know if I want it to be a paludarium or a saltwater tank, but we'll see how the saltwater thing goes. If it fits aesthetically next to my paludarium or not, or maybe I want to put it in a different room. We'll see. Anyway, if you have any experience in aquascaping, especially, with a saltwater aquarium. Any lessons you've learned, things like that, let me know in the comment section, please. Any bit of information is useful and helpful. All right. Appreciate y'all for stepping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified. That's all I got to say about it.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.